Once upon a time, in a quaint village surrounded by lush green hills, there lived a kind and cheerful girl named Lena. She was known throughout the village for her golden hair, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could warm even the coldest of hearts. Lena lived in a small, simple cottage with her mother, who had raised her with love and care, despite their hardships. They were very poor, often struggling to have enough food on their table. Yet, Lena never complained. She always found joy in the little things, whether it was the beauty of the flowers blooming by the road or the songs of the birds in the trees. One chilly morning, Lena set out into the forest to gather firewood for their small hearth. As she ventured deeper into the woods, she noticed an old woman sitting by the side of the path. The woman looked tired and weak, her clothes tattered and her hands trembling from hunger. Lena's heart went out to her, and without a second thought, she reached into her basket and pulled out the last piece of bread she had saved for herself. "Here, please take this," Lena said, offering the bread to the old woman. The woman's eyes filled with gratitude as she accepted the gift. After taking a bite, she smiled warmly at Lena. "Thank you, my dear child," the woman said in a gentle voice. "Your kindness will not go unrewarded. I have something special for you." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, unassuming pot. It looked like any other pot, but the old woman's eyes twinkled as she handed it to Lena. "This is no ordinary pot," the woman explained. "It is a magic porridge pot. Whenever you are hungry, simply say, 'Cook, little pot, cook,' and it will prepare the most delicious porridge you've ever tasted. When you've had enough, say, 'Stop, little pot, stop,' and it will cease cooking. Use it wisely, and it will never let you go hungry." Lena could hardly believe her ears. She thanked the old woman profusely and hurried back home, eager to share the good news with her mother. As soon as she arrived, she showed the pot to her mother and explained what the old woman had told her. Her mother, though skeptical at first, decided to give it a try. Lena placed the pot on their small wooden table and said, "Cook, little pot, cook." To their amazement, the pot immediately began to bubble and steam, filling the room with the sweet, comforting aroma of warm porridge. The pot overflowed with rich, creamy porridge, enough to feed not just Lena and her mother, but their neighbors as well. Lena and her mother ate to their heart's content, and when they were full, Lena said, "Stop, little pot, stop." Instantly, the pot stopped bubbling, as if it had never moved at all. From that day on, Lena and her mother were never hungry again. Every day, they would cook just enough porridge to feed themselves and share with their neighbors, who were delighted by the delicious food. The once struggling family had become a source of joy and generosity in the village, and everyone loved them for it. One day, however, Lena had to leave the village to run an errand in the nearby town. Her mother, feeling hungry, decided to use the pot in Lena's absence. She said, "Cook, little pot, cook," and just as before, the pot began to bubble and produce delicious porridge. But when she had eaten her fill, Lena's mother couldn't remember the exact words to make the pot stop. She tried saying, "Stop now, that's enough," and even, "No more, little pot," but nothing worked. The pot continued to cook, and the porridge began to overflow. Soon, the porridge spilled over the sides of the pot, covering the table, then the floor, and eventually pouring out of the door and windows. It streamed down the street, flowing like a river through the village. The villagers were astonished as the porridge crept into their homes, and they hurriedly grabbed bowls, pots, and anything else they could find to scoop up the tasty treat. When Lena returned and saw the chaos, she quickly realized what had happened. Rushing to her cottage, she called out, "Stop, little pot, stop." Instantly, the pot obeyed, but by then, the entire village was buried under a thick layer of porridge. The villagers, though initially shocked, burst into laughter at the absurdity of the situation. They scooped up the porridge and ate until they were full, and by the end of the day, the village was once again clean. After that day, Lena and her mother were more careful with the magic pot. They only used it when they truly needed to, and always remembered the words to make it stop. The pot brought them and the village much happiness, and Lena became known as the girl with the magic porridge pot, a symbol of kindness, generosity, and the magical rewards that come from a good heart. And so, Lena, her mother, and the villagers lived happily ever after, with never a worry about hunger, all thanks to the little magic porridge pot.